Well, good afternoon everyone. My name is Chris Robertson and I am the Principal of Aurora College. I'd like to welcome this afternoon our Year 11 2020 students and their parents. Joining me here at the Coordinating Office is Deputy Principal Kathy Klados. Good afternoon, Kathy.
Good afternoon, Chris, and welcome to all our parents and students joining us across New South Wales.
Thank you, Kathy. Kathy will be joining us again later on in the presentation. I might just add before we get started that the presentation is obviously being recorded this afternoon and we will also make available to you a copy of the presentation, so no need to take notes this afternoon. Okay, so as I said, my name is Chris Robertson, I'm the Principal, and Kathy and I are located in the Coordinating Office in Sydney. This afternoon we're going to be joined by a number of key members of staff from the Coordinating Office, and you can see there a list of personnel that we have at the Coordinating Office currently located at Mowbray Public School in Lane Cove in Sydney's north. This afternoon we're going to be joined by our Head Teacher Teaching and Learning, Kate Thompson. Good afternoon, Kate.
Good afternoon, Chris, and good afternoon prospective new parents and Year 11 students. My name's Kate Thompson and I look after various things such as professional learning, HSC study days. I supervise the librarian as well for the online library, which hopefully you will utilise, and masterclasses, which we'll talk to you about a bit later. Thanks.
Thank you, Kate. Joining us this afternoon also is Denise Steeves, and Denise is our School Administrative Manager. Good afternoon, Denise.
Good afternoon, Chris, and good afternoon, parents and students. I have over 20 years' experience in the administration of schools. I also have a great team with Georgia and Tara. We're there to help you. We're there to direct you to the person that can best meet your needs. Always feel free to give us a call on 1300 287 629 or email us at the school email address, and we will try and help you as best we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. This afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to get the opportunity to meet some of our teachers, or at very least some of our head teachers. On screen you can see the teaching faculty for 2020. We are close to finalising the faculty, some recruitment required between now and the end of the year. Joining us from various parts of the state are three of our head teachers. And I understand the first teacher you will meet this afternoon is our Head Teacher Mathematics, Software Design and Development, Kathy Howard. Good afternoon, Kathy.
Good afternoon, Chris. Good afternoon, parents and students. It's really lovely to know that you're here visiting with us to find out what you can about your new school. We're very excited to have you joining us. The Mathematics and Software Design and Development faculty have a number of exceptionally experienced and highly capable teachers of Stage 6 mathematics across all of the different levels, as well as a brand new software design and development teacher who's joining us next year. We're very excited to have him on board for Year 11 software design. We have, as I said, a very passionate faculty, and they are, I have to say I'm the luckiest head teacher of mathematics in the world. I have such a dedicated staff. They are the sort of people who will want to help you every time you find that you're struggling with something. They will be contactable via email, via Microsoft Teams. They have all sorts of innovative ways of getting information to you. They use technology exceptionally well, and they'll be able to use that to enhance your learning in both of those subject areas. So welcome, looking forward to meeting you all very soon, and thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you, Kathy. And I didn't mention that Kathy is joining us this afternoon from her home base in Bathurst. Our staff are obviously based at locations all over the state. In 2019, for example, approximately 50% of our teaching staff are themselves located in rural and remote locations across the state. The other 50% located in Sydney or in areas that we would term Greater Sydney. Next we're going to hear from our head teacher science, I believe, or relieving head teacher science and agriculture, Fiona Bonham. Fiona's joining us from her home base in West Wyalong High School.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm coming out of West Wyalong, as Chris said. I'm replacing Virginia Clough, who should be back next year in the Science and Agriculture faculty. I have a love of all things science. So at the moment in Year 11, we have agriculture, chemistry and physics. We have, again, a passionate and dedicated faculty. We will also have a new teacher joining us for Year 11 physics next year. We utilise Teams, OneNote and Style as our main platforms. You'll get lots of collaboration for your students with their peers, quick teacher feedbacks. The relationships the kids develop in science is amazing. We have a lot of opportunities. We've just spent a week at ANSTO. We use the Kickstart from Sydney Uni. When they come to residential, we join in a lot of competitions like the Australian National Chemistry Quiz, Victor Chang Awards, things like that. And then there's the opportunity to join Science Extension in Year 12. That's a new course that's had the HSC ran for the first time last year. We do lots of science masterclasses. We've just had masterclasses this week from CERN at the Large Hadron Collider for physics, and the kids really enjoyed that. It's just fantastic. We will send kits of equipment to the students with their laptops, kits to Mollymod kits to make molecules, textbooks, seeds for agriculture. Yeah, there's no barriers with online learning. We can do anything to help you. So thanks so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy your science next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona. And of course, Fiona is the relieving head teacher science and agriculture. As you can see there on screen, our substantive head teacher science and agriculture is Virginia Clough, and Virginia resides in the wonderful town of Dunedoo in the west of the state. Somewhere in the west of the state, not quite sure where exactly, is our head teacher English, Carolyn McMurtry. And Carolyn is undertaking her duties as the community liaison officer, visiting some of the schools in the west of the state. Good afternoon, Carolyn.
Hi, Chris. How are you? Well, I'm actually located today. I've just ended up in Coonamble. So it's lovely downtown Coonamble. I'm currently at Coonamble High School with a couple of the Aurora students actually in the background behind me as they're on some of their lessons. So it's great to be with them. So I'm the head teacher of English languages and HISI, and I've been positioned out at Cobar for 14 years. And in that time, I've had the pleasure of being involved with Aurora since it started. And we've been really lucky to have some very experienced teachers that have come on board, and particularly for our senior classes and students, we've got some very, very experienced teachers who are well versed in HSC, teaching at the HSC level. The majority of them, or all of them actually, have been involved in HSC marking. So they know the expectations and where the students need to be with their work. And particularly, I guess that one of the advantages with Aurora is that you get to be involved in small classes. We have very much, particularly with Extension English, where it can be very much catered for the interests of the student as well as advanced English. But if I also have beginners Japanese, Korean, Italian, economics and geography. So they're also subjects which I also look after. And as I said before, we have very experienced teachers that are teaching those. What's fantastic about Aurora is that they are able to do all their study online, texts are online, and then so that means that they can access their education wherever they may be. So yeah, welcome to Aurora, and it'll be fantastic to see you next year. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Carolyn, and I'm sure the bright lights of Aurora College resident in Canowindra are taking good care of you there this afternoon. Sorry, Coonamble. Coonamble. Okay, so this afternoon, aside from giving you important information about 2020, we thought we'd just give you a very brief history of the school and some background to why we exist. It is, of course, only a very brief history because we've only been operating since 2015. And on screen you can see there the map. In 2015 we commenced operations with 145 students in 45 schools. marked on the map by the blue markers, and the green markers where we shared students and teachers, and of course the red markers where some of our teaching staff are located. We exist as a school to provide access to a broad range of curriculum opportunities for kids in rural and remote New South Wales, and we were a key deliverable of the department's Rural and Remote Education Blueprint. If we fast forward to 2019, you can see how the school has grown, and in fact this year we commenced with just over 330 students in 102 schools across the state. Very pleased to report that next year in 2020 we will have grown once again and we'll be starting the year with well over 400 students across the state. Okay, so as I said, the reason why we exist is to provide a broad range of curriculum opportunities for students in rural and remote New South Wales. And in years 7 to 10, of course, our school is a selective school and students study English, Maths and Science with Aurora, and they study the other 60% of their subjects in their home school. In Stage 6, which of course is the area of interest to our audience this afternoon, we exist to provide opportunities for students, young people in rural and remote schools to study subjects that they might not be able to get in their home school. And you can see there, of course, in the centre of the screen, the subjects on offer in Year 11, and you will be studying a combination of those subjects in 2020. I would also like to just mention very briefly that we are currently undertaking a Stage 3 Opportunity Class Pilot Program. And halfway through that process, and next year, when the pilot concludes, we hope to be a fully fledged Stage 3 Opportunity Class provision in areas of the state where parents and students are not able to access a terrestrial Opportunity Class provision. Okay, I'm going to hand over now to Kathy Klados, and she's going to walk you through some of the requirements for the HSC.
Thank you, Chris. I won't go into much detail, but in terms of the students and parents joining us today are students who will complete the HSC in 2021. So in order to be eligible to complete the HSC, I think just to point out there that the most important one for us is the HSC All My Own Work. This is a requirement by NESA, and it is expected that you complete that in your home school. Many schools perhaps are currently completing that particular those modules with NESA at their home school in Year 10. Some may complete them next year. And that's to pretty much enable students to understand how necessary it is to submit assessment tasks that are authentically theirs and have not been plagiarised, and ensure that no malpractice actually takes place. Another thing that I'd like to point out is that when undertaking the HSC, students must make a serious attempt, especially when they're completing the HSC examinations. So in order to complete and be awarded for the HSC, students in Year 12 must satisfactorily complete the required pattern of courses. Those students that don't will obviously will be issued with end warning letters, and the principal can end determine students if they have not met the necessary assessment requirements or made a serious attempt for the HSC examinations as well. In terms of patterns for the HSC, to qualify for the HSC, students must complete a range of Year 11 subjects as well as Year 12 units. And in Year 12, the minimum units is a minimum of 10 units that they need to complete. They need to have a range of different types of units. Let me assure you that the subjects that are on offer at Aurora College do meet board developed courses, and students must complete at least 6 units from the board developed courses. A lot of students also talk about the ATAR. The ATAR is a rank, the Australian Tertiary Admission rank, and that actually is not determined by the Department of Education, and it has nothing to do with us directly. It is an independent body that determines how students are ranked based on the number of subjects that they've completed, and that gives them the ability to enter a range, to be admitted into most university courses. I know that many university courses are moving to pre-ATAR admission, but that's something that you need to investigate with your careers advisors in your home school or directly with universities as well. Let me also assure you that students that study at Aurora are, because of the subjects and nature of the subjects that we offer, that they do contribute to the calculation of an ATAR. So when you study with Aurora, you are studying with an ATAR, a subject that contributes to an ATAR. Okay, I think I will pass you on to Chris now, who will give you some more information about Aurora College as well.
Thank you, Kathy. Yes, so this afternoon what we would like to do is obviously talk you through some of the technologies that we use here at Aurora College. We make the claim, of course, as the first virtual school in New South Wales, that we operate one of the most advanced virtual learning environments in the world, and that claim is not made lightly. The backbone of the virtual learning environment is web conferencing software, Adobe Connect to be precise. We also operate or are big users of the department's suite of collaborative tools, Office 365 and Google G Suite. We run a learning management system, Microsoft Teams, and a range of other communication and collaboration software. And as Kate mentioned earlier, we also operate one of the state's only fully digital school libraries. One of the things that Aurora does for the department is to test new and emerging technologies, and on screen you can see one of those technologies that we have implemented at Aurora College, and that is our 3D virtual environment. IC, you can see on screen there the virtual playground, and some various other spaces around the school, the school hall for example, where e-mentoring sessions and certain classes can take place. There's also a school lecture theatre where we run masterclasses, and right down to over my shoulder here, a virtual coffee shop. Some of the other technologies that we make use of, you can see there on screen, telepresence robots, and this is another means by which we can bring teachers, staff and students into the office for various meetings. The technology we're using this afternoon is in fact our live streaming equipment, and we're obviously completing this presentation or making this presentation in front of a green screen. So all of the latest equipment to make sure that we provide a very engaging experience for our students. Okay, so the opportunity for you to experience the virtual learning environment will be provided for our new students in years 8 to 11 on Thursday 28 November from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. And you would have received, parents would have received last week an email with details around the orientation program. We also run a transition program which runs during Term 1 2020, and it focuses on organisation and management skills, but also really honing your skills in the use of the various applications in use at Aurora College. As we don't like to leave our parents out, and in 2020 we'll be running a number of parent webinars which parents are welcome to join, and that information will be communicated to you via email. So, as good as our virtual environment is, we like to meet with our students and our teachers in a physical space twice each year at a residential school. Residentials at Aurora College are a big event. You can see there on screen we have lessons and tutorials, practical sessions, masterclasses, mentoring sessions, excursions, and workplace visits courtesy of the Australian Business Community Network. For Year 11 students, only the physics and chemistry students, those students studying physics and chemistry in Year 11, are required, and they're in fact only required for the first residential of the year, term 1, week 6. That's from Monday 2 March to Friday 6 of March. That will be taking place in Sydney at the Sydney Sport and Recreation Centre on Narrabeen Beach. And information, if it hasn't already made its way to you, we'll be doing so very, very shortly. Our science students, physics and chemistry in Year 11, obviously those courses have a significant practical component, and enrolling at Aurora College, we pay your home school to release a suitable teacher to deliver that part of the curriculum. And for example, for physics, Year 11 physics, that's one practical session, one 50-minute practical session each fortnight. Other practicals are completed at the residential school, as described on the earlier slide. We also make increasing use of online interactives in the virtual learning environment. But the bulk of the practical component of the science in the physics and chemistry courses is completed in your home school under the supervision of a qualified science teacher there. A very important person in the organisation, or a very important role, is that of the Aurora College Coordinator. And in each school where we share students right across the state, Aurora funds the home school to release a suitable teacher to fulfil the duties of the Aurora College Coordinator. And you can think of the coordinator as being in a role very similar to that of your year advisor. There is an administrative component to the work that they complete, but they are there to support the educational, social and emotional needs of our shared enrolments. And depending on the number of students that are shared with Aurora College by the home school, determines the actual allocation. And it's a minimum of 2 periods per fortnight for the role of Aurora College Coordinator. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Kate now, who's going to talk to you about some of the wonderful programs that you might be able to access.
Thank you, Chris. So a few of the fun things amongst your normal classes are aspects and programs. One is the masterclasses. I'll go through each of these 4 things, but in terms of masterclasses, it's a program that really tries to complement, extend or enrich the curriculum, and some examples are, you can see in the images below. On the bottom left there's a gentleman called Steve Goldfarb, and he works at CERN in Switzerland as part of the, or CERN experiment rather, looking at the Large Hadron Collider. I don't know if you've heard of that, but he recently presented, as recently as last Friday, to all our students a really engaging session on physics. So we do tap in to global experts. So there's this local idea of learning but connecting really globally. We've also had authors such as Fiona Wood, you can see in that image there, and there's just forgotten his name for some reason, but a gentleman from CSIRO. So we do build partnerships with educational, scientific and other tertiary institutions. Plus we can't forget how good Dr. Carl is to our students, and he spent a long time talking to them, signing books and autographs and things like that, but really inspiring students in kind of English, maths and science type areas. One of the other programs I'm responsible for is the HSC Study Days. So recently they've kind of grown and we've targeted about just under 11,000 students around the state. So in those 12 subjects that you can see before you. That's a matter of coordinating a range of experts such as Ross Gittins, who is the senior editor for economics in the Sydney Morning Herald, and a physicist at Sydney University, Professor Tim Bedding. So we do tap into and build relationships with experts and get their expert knowledge shared across the state. Another aspect that I tend to look after or have shared in the past is the e-mentoring program. And that's an opportunity where students can pair up in a one-on-one situation or with another student and a mentor, so a 1-to-2 type ratio, and have a look at various career building aspects, personal development aspects, other skills, but it's all about mentoring and really enhancing like career planning, personal development and things like that. And that is built from year 7 onwards, but you can slot into the program at any time you like. But I would strongly encourage you to kind of pursue that opportunity. And where you have a particular interest, say in astrophysics, we would try and match you up with a mentor that has expertise in astrophysics, for example. I love that video. Another aspect or opportunity that you can get involved in is the short courses. So currently we have one operating through Sydney University, and it's called Social Entrepreneurship, where students are looking at the Millennium Development Goals or Sustainable kind of Development Goals, and trying to think of a business idea that's not just purely for exploitation, I guess, but something that will benefit society, and working through from the beginning to the end point of launching a business product or service. The time-lapse video in front of you was a recording of what was done at a residential, and that was through a Lego robotics program at Macquarie University, or run through Macquarie University rather. So that was pretty exciting with various challenges and coding aspects. Plus we have run a short course with Coder Academy last year. That was our longest. That was 2 terms. And the first ever one was through the Museum of Applied Arts and Science, otherwise known as the Powerhouse Museum. So there's a small but very committed uptake of students in these short courses, and it contributes to their, it's built into the merit system and things like that. So a couple of benefits of being at Aurora, apart from these things such as access to short courses, masterclasses and mentoring, is that the class sizes are generally smaller. And we have data to actually show that our students are quite engaged, challenged and connected. And I'll just go through a bit of that data now. So in an annual survey, we surveyed our students, and of those who responded, we tend to be, or the students tend to be quite socially engaged, as you can see in the data. So with that, they're involved in various things. They've got a positive sense of belonging. In all areas, I should say, in the next few graphs as well, Aurora performs above the state normal government norm, the state average. Apart from just one that isn't as relevant to Aurora, I guess, is the sport, because the homeschools take care of the sport aspect. The other aspect is institutional engagement. So that just reflects that students are really invested in their long-term learning and see this relevance of learning and what they're doing in school at Aurora to real life. So they value their outcomes. We've got positive attendance data. There's positive, really good behaviour, information. So this is how students responded, and positive homework behaviours, which are also above the state. And in terms of intellectual engagement, we're consistently above the state average as well. This is where students are really, really engaged and challenged in deep learning. I think knowledge is extended and enriched through various programs, but that students really feel this as well. So that's reflected in that data there too. Some drivers of student engagement, we again perform above the state. You'll see there, and I think a real benefit and strength of Aurora is the positive teacher-student relations and a really positive learning environment, which also is highlighted through these residential schools. You really see that come to life. So I might pass you back over to Chris now.
Thank you, Kate. And the data you just saw was from the Tell Them From Me survey. and that's an external body that conducts that research, and certainly it validates our own research. And as Kate said, the common experience of students at Aurora College is that they feel engaged, they feel challenged, and they feel supported. Part of the role of our state reference group is to survey annually our parents, our students, and our partner school staff. So the state reference group is a group which has existed at our school since its inception in 2015, and our work in the SRG focuses on the structure and delivery of the school curriculum, principally. We also look at the staffing model of the school, importantly the coordination of timetables of Aurora College and each partner school, but also managing the processes of shared enrolments and the communication with students and parents and with the home school. So it's a very important body, the state reference group. On that group, and the group has wide representation across the department, obviously the senior executive. We also have staff representatives on the group, parent representatives, directors educational learning from right across the state, and other senior members of the Department of Education. Your parent representatives are David Dubois and Jeannie McMullen, and David and Jeannie's email addresses are shown on screen, and they're available to answer any questions that you might feel more comfortable asking another parent, or indeed bringing up an issue that you would like David or Jeannie to raise at the meetings, regular meetings of the state reference group, which incidentally are held twice a term each year. Okay, so one of the other jobs of the state reference group is to coordinate or to oversee the creation of the common matrix. In other words, when and where our classes run. And down at the bottom of the screen there, you can see a very important URL. And I urge each of our students and their parents to visit that site to see the various documents available to our partner schools to ensure that each and every one of our students is accommodated as best they can, and that the curriculum is planned for and supported by both schools. So the 2020 timetable, your lessons will take place from 8 a.m. to 9:45 in the mornings, and afternoon lessons from 2:20 to 3:30 p.m. The 2020 timetable was made available to schools on 19th of June 2019 to give them plenty of time to plan for shared enrolments in Stage 6 with Aurora College. And it is a condition of your enrolment in Stage 6 at Aurora College that you attend those lessons. And if you click on that link there or go to the web address, you will find precisely when your lessons will run in 2020. As I said, that is a condition of your enrolment. It is also a condition of the shared arrangement or partnership with your home school, that they timetable in such a way that you will be able to attend your Aurora lessons and also all of your home school lessons. Okay, back over to Kathy Klados now, and she's going to take you through a few administrative issues.
So in order to ensure that you've got access to your child's welfare, also reports and other information concerning your child, we give you access to our Student Administration Centre, we use Central. So you will get an email from Ben, our Learning Technology Support Officer, with the username password to give you access into that system, and you'll be able to find out all the information that we record that is accessible to you through this system, including, as I said, reports, merits, attendance, and a whole range of other information as well. Now, in terms of assessing and reporting, we assess like any other school, and we report like any other school. We provide an interim report in term 1, and a full academic report is issued at the end of terms 2 and 4. Now, in Year 12, you're not issued with an interim report, but you are issued with 2 academic reports, and those reports are issued in terms 1 and 3. Now, as I said, you do have access to those reports and through your portal in Central. Now, parent interviews are also conducted, and they're usually done via telephone, and your teachers will be contacting you if you do make an appointment. Those appointments, again, are made through Central. So we use Central as our main focal point to communicate a lot of our information. Additionally, emails as well will support communication within Aurora College. Our assessment policy handbook. Now, this is a handbook that is issued to all students in all years, not just Year 11, but for the Year 11 assessment handbook, this is going to be issued to you in the first few weeks of Term 1 next year, and this is only for Year 11 content, the preliminary course. In your student assessment policy handbook, you will get a whole range of information that align to the NESA requirements. Information regarding guidelines for assessment, specifically your assessment schedules and notifications. You'll get an outline of all the student responsibilities, what are required when sitting for an exam, what's required when submitting an assessment task. There's information there that relates to the issuing of end warnings and end determinations as well, and other information regarding assessment or issues that may arise. What happens if I'm sick on the day of an assessment task? What do I do? How do I go about ensuring that I'm able to submit my task or submit a task late? What happens if I've got a homeschool activity and I'm not able to attend or submit an assessment task or attend an assessment in the school? There's information there regarding that. And there are related forms that allow you that support you to complete, to submit, to get extensions in regards to assessment tasks that may be missed. And that specific form that you will be using if you are away is the illness and misadventure form. That will need to be completed, then signed and submitted by your Aurora College coordinator. There's you will find a whole range of information, and students will also need to sign that they've actually acknowledged that they've received that document in the early in first term as well, and return that paperwork to Gregory Smith, our head teacher secondary studies, next year as well. I will now pass you over to Chris, who'll give you some more information about the technology that you're going to be issued with, so that it allows you to connect with Aurora College. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Kathy. Yes, look, in week 1 or thereabouts of next term, the start of the 2020 school year, you will receive a package, or your Aurora College coordinator will receive a package for you. You will receive in that package a laptop device for your use in your studies. You will receive a headset with a microphone and a web camera. All right, and that information, that equipment will arrive at your school in the first week or so for the start of next year. In any given lesson, you can see on screen here that in any given lesson you will be in fact using 2 devices. You can see on the images left and right, a couple of our students there. You can see a typical setup there. So they're connected to their classroom on a department desktop machine, which is supplied by your home school. That's connected via Ethernet cable to the network to ensure a stable connection to Adobe Connect. And there, obviously, you'll see your classmates, you'll see your teacher, you'll see presentations and the like. You will also have a laptop device, as I said, supplied by Aurora College, on which you will access the various applications we use, and the connection with your laptop is by wireless connection, by Wi-Fi to the school network, and that's where you'll be using Office 365, Google G Suite and all the various other applications in use in your studies. So that's a typical setup for each of our students. We request that your home school sets aside a space somewhere in the school where there is line of sight supervision but also where it is obviously conducive to learning, an area of minimal noise and disruption. And typically, as you can probably tell from those two images, left and right, typically that area in most of our schools is in an annex of the school library. Okay, so look, coming your way, a community liaison officer, myself and Kathy do as much travelling as we can. It's not often easy to get away from the office, but when we do, we enjoy meeting our students right across the state in their home schools. We have two positions, two classroom teachers that fill the position of community liaison officer, and they're always on the travel, as Carolyn McMurtry was today, our head teacher English. And the purpose of those visits obviously is to meet with our students, with our partner school staff, and importantly with our parents. And when we're making a visit, we do let our students and parents know that we'll be in the neighbourhood and invite you to come along and to meet us and to raise any questions or concerns you might have. Okay, so look, we're coming to the end of the presentation, and I guess what I would really like to just point out, it's always nice to be acknowledged for the great work you're doing, and you can see here, there it is, it's the big award that we won last year, the New South Wales Premier's Award for Public Service. And you can see that was among a number of awards that Aurora has received over the years. For the great programs and the great work that our students and staff have been engaged in. The Oracle, you would have, I think, received the first notification, or your first notification for the current edition of the Oracle. The Oracle is the school's e-newsletter, and it's produced twice each term. It contains a whole lot of interesting information and stories. We'd like to hear from our partner schools, and there's a very popular section called Connect Locally, Learn Globally, where we showcase or we highlight the achievements of our students and give kids the opportunity to sell the benefits of their own hometown. So keep an eye out for the Oracle. It's a great read, and that's available twice each term. All right, so I'm just going to ask the team here, do we have any questions? Okay, there's some questions coming up from Helen Kelly. And her question is, will students have the same teachers for every lesson, or will it be a shared teaching role? Okay, a good question, Helen. The answer to that question is that each class will have its own teacher. There won't be any shared teachers. In fact, we don't have any shared any classes right across Aurora that has shared teachers. That's not to say, for example, that we don't do some team teaching, and some of the head teachers, or the head teachers that you met earlier in the presentation, do from time to time come into the classroom to get to know our students and to help out where necessary. Next question comes from Angela Wall. Do these guidelines for assessment handbooks get sent to homeschool or residential address? Okay, so they will be emailed to each of our students and parents and to the Aurora College coordinators. So we cover all bases in that regard. So you will get a copy which will come directly to your email account. One of the things I would urge all of our students and indeed our parents is to keep a regular watch on your email. But as our students are inducted and oriented into the Aurora virtual learning environment, you'll see that there are various other means by which we communicate, including Central, of course, but some of the other platforms that we use, including Microsoft Teams. Next question, again from Helen. Can students take the laptop computers home, or do they stay at school? No, they're for use in your studies, Helen, so you're able to take the device home and to use it appropriately. I will add that the devices are not in fact locked down, so you do have administrative rights to the computer. What we do obviously recommend and urge is that those devices are not loaded up with peripheral and other applications. They are primarily for use while studying with Aurora College. Question from Susan. For the residential school, will this be when students studying chemistry do their mandatory pracs? Okay, so some of those mandatory pracs are done at the residential school, but as I said, the bulk of practicals are completed in the home school under the supervision of a teacher which Aurora College funds. At the end of the 2-year course, you would have completed all of the mandatory pracs by some means. Okay, look, I think that's all for the moment from the questions. Yeah, I'm getting the thumbs up here. I can't see any other questions coming our way. Look, finishing up a little bit early today. As I said at the top of the presentation, we do make available to students and parents a recording of this presentation this afternoon. So we will, in the next 5 days, send you a link to the recording. That email will also have a copy of the presentation that we're using as a PDF for you to view at a later time. Okay, so again, I don't think there's any other questions that are being asked of us. Of course, the information on screen there is very important to you. If you need to contact the school, please do not hesitate to call us. You can call us toll-free on 1300 287 629, or you can email the Aurora College email address shown on screen. Look, if you have any questions, as is often the case when these things end, parents think, I wish I would have asked that question. Please do drop us an email and we're only too happy to respond. So look, I think having completed the presentation a little ahead of time, all that remains is to once again welcome you to our school. I'm sure you'll find the experience a very enjoyable and a very educational one, and we wish you well for the remaining part of the year and as you wind down Year 10 Stage 5 studies. Remember the orientation program. If you didn't receive an email from Aurora, I'm not sure whether it came out under my email address or the Aurora School email address, but if you don't have those details, please contact the school and we will provide them for you. Similarly, if you are unable to be accommodated at your home school, at the school that you're at currently, if there's issues there, please do let us know and we'll organise something else. Very important that each of our students attends the orientation program, if only to capture your credentials in our system and make sure that you start 2020 very smoothly. So if there are issues, please make sure that you contact the school and let us know. If you're not able to attend the date for the orientation session, there will be a catch-up session. But again, there will be limited opportunities for that. So I urge you, if at all possible, to make the orientation date. Okay, from our coordinating office in Sydney, welcome and thank you for your attendance this afternoon.